right, good morning. Good morning, Douglas. We don't have any champagne glasses to tinkle. All right, good morning. If everybody wants to come around the campfire. You know, after I say it 3 times, I start embarrassing people. I learned that at law school. So, Rep, you don't do enough talking? There's not enough of this at the State House? I could say that because we're fellow travelers. Good morning. Welcome to Douglas. This is a wonderful day for this community. We have worked for several years now to take economic development from a theoretical conversation to something that is a very real part of our day-to-day operations and moving the town forward as a whole. My background includes economic development, and I'll tell you there are many different variables that go into a successful effort. 2 of them are key. One is community consensus. The community has to want to move in a direction, and that tone is set by town meeting, and it filters through every level of government. So an awful lot of what we're doing today is acknowledging the tone that has been set by Douglas Town Meeting and our Select Board. Chairman Morse, Selectman Bonin, Selectman Fitzpatrick was over here, now he's over here. And Selectman Davis is away in Florida, and I don't see Selectman Cortez, although I thought he was going to try to make it. But the Select Board has invested its energy in the administrator's office and in our staff to get us to a point where we could actually begin to have a real professional effort. Because the second piece of this is persistence. We don't need flim-flam studies that gather dust on bookshelves. That's not economic development. Economic development is boots on the ground, someone to talk to, someone to work with, someone who will move your process along so that you're not missing your deadlines and you can get your work done on the private sector side. And not only that one person, Bob Manerick, who deserves a lot of credit for so much of what's happening here today. We've also had wonderful cooperation with our water commissioners. I know the entire commission is here today. I see Commissioner Hare, Commissioner Josie, Commissioner Blanyaz is in the back. Our planning board, the chair is here, my favorite chair, the chair of the planning board and Concom at the same time, Tracy Sharkey. Thank you, Tracy, for taking the time. And I'd also shout out to the planning boards in Sutton and in Uxbridge. Part of what we're talking about today is a building that's going to straddle 3 communities. So the 3 planning boards met on a regular basis for a cooperative, efficient session. And that's what's helped us move this along very quickly. So thanks to Jen Hager, who's here for the town of Sutton, who coordinated all of those meetings and kept all the minutes. And Uxbridge, I don't know if has a rep. Does Jack Hunter sneak in at some point? I guess not. But without these partners, we wouldn't have been able to move forward. So persistence, cooperation, consensus. And then at some point, you have to stop and say, can we still go forward? And that's when you start to ask the Commonwealth for assistance. Because to come up with a capital stack for all of the infrastructure work that needs to be done would be beyond the means of the town of Douglas on it by itself or even the 3 towns combined. So, but for the grant that's going to be announced by the Lieutenant Governor today, we would not have a project. And this grant is also opening up the door to additional forms of financial assistance that will leverage us through the whole thing. So when I say this is a key piece of the puzzle, it's absolutely essential. And without further ado then, to announce that key piece is our Lieutenant Governor, Karen Polito. Now, I have to admit, I'm so mad at you right now, right? Continuity is wonderful. But we understand that things change. But we're still really, really thrilled to have you here. You got a good turnout, so let's have a Douglas welcome for the Lieutenant Governor.
Oh, don't be mad at me. We have another 13 months to do a lot of great work together, and it's an honor to be here in Douglas, along with your partners in Sutton and in Uxbridge, and of course with my colleagues in the legislature. Rep. McKenna, Rep. Soder is somewhere here as well, and Senator Fatman. Thank you for joining us today and for your advocacy for this project. We received many calls of support from your local delegation who worked hard here. I just want to start by saying thank you to the leadership of these communities. Both the governor and I started our service in local government. I was a town meeting member. I served on our local board in Shrewsbury, a family that serves on planning boards, conservation commissions, finance committees. We get this, and you get it. You are the ones locally that go to your departments and do your work for the people of this community, and then the many volunteers who populate your boards. And what you said, Matt, is absolutely correct, that it is you that have decided your future by understanding through consensus the vision and the ideas that you have for your community, and then mapping that out in a plan. But a lot of times those plans do sit on a shelf because people come and go into different positions, but you've literally been able to attract both the resources locally, statewide, and privately to make this happen. So congratulations. You are an example of how to do this and an inspiration to other communities and regions about how to work together and get stuff done. So congratulations. We're very proud of you for that. Because not only do you benefit your community with jobs and more tax revenue that you can pour right into better services for the people of this community, but you also service a need for us here in this Commonwealth as well as the region in terms of logistics. You know, warehouse and distribution is a growing industry sector here in the Commonwealth. No surprise to anyone. This was clearly evident before the pandemic hit, as more people are purchasing and procuring things through the e-commerce. The pandemic just expanded that even more so. So these are places in our Commonwealth that are undeveloped, but rightly, suited to serve the logistics piece of moving goods and things around the region of our nation, right here in this area. So congratulations for that. But we also know that the infrastructure is not where it needs to be in order to get it done. And that's why the state dollars plugged into programs like this are critically important. Just on that note, I've done a lot of work over the past 7 years in our municipalities across our Commonwealth, being someone that has been to every single community. And a couple of years ago, before the pandemic hit, Secretary Keneally and I did another round of tours to listen to municipal leaders and business leaders about how we in state government could be a better partner. And one of the things we heard over and over again is, you have a lot of resources, but it shouldn't be difficult for us to apply and see if we can get a grant, try to figure out when the grant's available and what the time sequence is to try to piece together potential resources to attract private investment. So we developed a thing called the one-stop shop, literally one-stop application process that starts with an expression of interest that's going to begin again next week, where communities can literally put on a page, these are our top 5 projects that we want to get to. And then we work as a consulting team at the state level to assess what your priorities are and then kind of signal to you, these are the things that you're most ready to pursue, and these are things that we can probably give you an advance small grant to get you started. Permitting, design, all of that kind of thing. And so when you apply in May, you have a high likelihood of success of receiving not just one, but maybe multiple grants to help your projects move forward. This has been, I think, one of the best accomplishments of what we've been able to do together. Streamlined, efficient, more predictable, more certain, which makes it a whole lot better for the private sector to be able to say, okay, we can get this done. Time is of the essence, and we don't have that question mark about whether we're going to have the resources to move forward in a place like Douglas, Uxbridge, and Sutton. So you participated in the One Stop for Growth program, and I'm very pleased today that you are receiving a Massworks grant of $3 million to complete the water and sewer system upgrades between your towns, Sutton, Uxbridge, and Douglas. Congratulations. Phase one of this $12.4 million public improvement program is along the 146 corridor to catalyze the kind of growth and development that we talked about. It also included a 3 state-approved 43D district, so you had to do all that zoning change, and you attracted players like Scannell and CRG, who you'll hear from this morning. The new warehouses will produce 1.74 million square feet of new industrial space, 147 million in private investment, and an estimated 800 permanent jobs in this region. That is huge. Congratulations. And I'm also pleased to announce that the town of Douglas is receiving a site readiness grant through the One Stop program. A $314,000 grant will complete the preliminary design and engineering work for another water and sewer upgrade project along the Davis and Monroe Street area. The prep work will serve about 300 acres. 300 acres of undeveloped industrial zoned land with great potential for more commercial development and job creation. That's exactly the example that I talked about, putting your ideas into the portal and into the request system, and then we help you get started. I cannot wait, hopefully, in the next year to see us review your further applications for the construction dollars that can help move this forward. Now, these are competitive grants. We had over $300 million of requests through the One Stop system this past cycle. We were able to award $88 million of grants. $66 million were awarded to 56 Massworks grants, one of which is yours. But that leaves a lot of projects here in the Commonwealth that are ready and very important for our economy to expand. And we certainly appreciate the work of the legislature to process the ARPA dollars that the federal government has infused in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And we look forward to putting those dollars right back into communities like yours for more economic development. And clearly the workforce development and training to go along with that. So as we come out of this pandemic, we have strong partnerships with all of you. We have projects in the pipeline that are ready, and we will be a better and stronger Commonwealth everywhere, thanks to people like you. Congratulations. Keep up your fantastic work, and it is my pleasure to pass this Massworks grant on to you. And if you'd like, you can come up with Sutton and Uxbridge if you want to take a picture, or we can wait until the end. Up to you.
There you go, Jen.
Sure, come on up. We got one other.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
If I could please all the members of the legislation as well.
Mike was here, he had to run into this.
Okay, come on in.
You can look at Sarah first, please.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Anybody else?
1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Fantastic.
And I'm not sure who's speaking next. I'll turn it right back over to you. And I know that you'll hear from Representative McKenna and Senator Fatman in a few minutes.
That is true. The legislators are next. Municipal leaders everywhere hope that our legislators are responsive to us. Their role is critical in fostering communication between state agency heads and state agency implementation staff and our staff here. And without fail, every time we have asked Senator Fatman and Representative McKenna for assistance, we've gotten that quick phone call back, that detailed response. It's compliments to the two of you as members, to your staff. Lori's here, your chief of staff is here, Senator. It's just great interacting with you guys. And I had this long career journey. I also worked for 2 governors and dealt with legislators. And it's a unique place when you're in the same lane as the people that are in the executive branch. When just the value to the community isn't necessarily always the votes that you take in a chamber that's, strongly in one direction. It's also the influence you're able to work at keeping everybody talking to each other at the local and state level. So without further ado, I'm going to go by the order that this itinerary was established from the upper house. The senator, Senator Ryan Fatman, who represents us in Sutton and a whole lot of other places, right? Was it like 7 towns in your district?
It's going to be 18.
It's going to be 18?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
After redistricting. It's a lot of territory to cover. Thank you, Matt, and good morning, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here for this announcement, especially with the Lieutenant Governor. She made the analogy of, a community putting together a vision, putting it down on paper, and a lot of times it sits on that shelf. The wonderful thing about the Baker-Polito administration is for the Blackstone Valley, the book that's been on the shelf for about 10 years got taken off. And the story that's been told with the opening of those pages is truly tremendous. This is just one of the chapters of that book. $3 million, 800 jobs, the stories and the lives that will change. It's truly incredible. But for the town of Douglas specifically, the administration has been exceptional. I remember at that point, Governor Charlie Baker, candidate Baker, coming to Wallam State Forest and walking with Selectman Bonin, Morse, a few others, community members, and taking a look down there at some of the impacts that out-of-state residents were having on the park and on the standard of living for a lot of people in this town. And from the time they took office, they were willing to respond to the community's needs. We created a trust fund for all out-of-state residents that would pay a little extra money to help support our public safety officials so that when there might be a dither of state officials and public safety to help out, which a lot of times that happens, that we would be able to support our local officials and have them get down there and do the work that needed to be done. I've never forgotten going down with Chief Foley on July 4th or right before then, and seeing the queue of cars right before the park. And this administration made sure that there were state police, environmental police, and additional resources expended to make sure that there was safety and continuity of service between local and state government. This is the legacy of the Baker-Polito administration, and this is just, again, another feather in their cap, in all of our caps, to make sure that the lives of people and that the lives of the Blackstone Valley and the business community here are supported. So on behalf of the Blackstone Valley, thank you so much for all that you have done. It is a wonderful legacy and something that you still have 13 months to build upon, for sure, but that you can ride off into the sunset and be very proud of. So thank you.
Good morning. I gotta say, it's nice to be in this room and with folks that are here and deliver some good news from the state, where more often than not you hear some complaints and some arguments and, you need to do this and you need to do that. So from Matt and Kevin and some others who are often, advocating on behalf of the town, it's good to be able to come on behalf of the administration and deliver some good news. And while the advocacy from the town can be strong, that's a very, very good thing, because it shows the commitment of the town leadership in trying to move the town forward in all ways. And it's sometimes not an easy message to hear, but it's a very effective message, and it's something that Ryan and I take to heart and have brought back to Boston, and it's wonderful to be here with this grant. And this project, in my mind, shows the perfect synergy when you've got the town working hand in glove with private investment, working hand in glove with the state to come together all and pull in the right direction, pull together. And that's what makes these projects possible. So there's still always work to be done, and we remain ready and happy to do that work. But to be here announcing a positive step forward that'll greatly advance the economic development opportunities today and in the future is really an exciting thing. So to the administration, thank you so much for coming through. This is going to make a huge impact in Douglas, and happy to be here. Thank you.
Before moving to our private sector partners, who I have nothing but good things to say about, I also want to acknowledge the rest of our town family here who will now begin to work on many of the details of the implementation. I see Les Stevens and Aaron Sokrat here from the Planning Board, Carol Gogolinsky, our sage advice from Finance Committee and Economic Development Corporation Committee. There aren't too many people in town who know as much about the history and potential of the town of Douglas as Carol. It's been wonderful working with you. And for all of our department heads and staff that wanted you to be part of this event today, because this is our priority, right? This is what we have angled to do for years, and there will be many different aspects of applications and conversations and documents to be filed, meetings to be held, and the support of every single person who comes here and works during the day is valued all the time, and especially when we have such an important project ahead of us. Another pillar of economic development is to recognize that your private sector partners have their own dynamics, and to not stand in the way of those conversations that occur, whether it's in capital committees or investment committees or whatever institutional framework you have in the real estate development business to take a project from concept to fruition. And we have government's job. We don't make the investments, right? We try to enable them. We try to make it so that you file an application, you have a clear process. Nobody gets out of the way because we have jobs to do. Nobody gets in the way because that's the wrong thing. Our job is to put markers on the journey that says, this is the way, right? And so that when it's time to file, you know what you're supposed to file. And there's nothing that's ever held up because it's incomplete or because somebody didn't ask a logical question they should have asked at some point. So you're not delayed unnecessarily. And that's a culture. And we've got a great culture here in the town hall in the town of Douglas, and put us to the test because we're ready for what you're going to be coming at us with. Having said all of that, not only do we have the investment partners, we have the people who have been willing to engage in a dialogue about the future of their properties and the future of their own plans. So I would be remiss if I didn't note Andy Leonard and Kevin Lobiser and Bo McIntyre, who have been very much with us from the beginning. These ideas have changed a couple times. Now, at one point, we were chasing the world's biggest cannabis grow, right? And that went away. But we never gave up. And Bob never gave up interacting with you guys. But you've also got skin in the game. And I want to acknowledge that we really appreciate the fact that you have taken financial risk and professional risk to be involved in this conceptual conversation as it has moved forward. And we value that and respect that. So thank you for your attention and work. At an event like this, we want to just so all parties we're in good shape on time for the Lieutenant Governor, but let's we're going to move things along and have Leo Layton discuss first and foremost the Skinnell project, which is the Blackstone Logistics Center. I'm still going to insist that you call it Blackstone Valley Logistics Center. William Blackstone was a person, and Blackstone Valley is a place. Which is going to straddle 3 towns, and it is the expansion of our water and wastewater infrastructure that's going to help enable that, both in a economically viable way, but also an environmentally friendly way. We have capacity here in the town. The commissioners have done a fine job over many years in Douglas of establishing fundamental water and wastewater assets that can handle new things. They were developed at a time when the mills were running, and I think we're going to soak up some of that capacity that was released when the economy changed. So without any further delay, Leo, it's all you, and Lisa's going to work the press.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Leo Layton. I'm representing Skinnell Properties on
Blackstone Valley Logistics Center. First of all, I just want to say thank you for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity to introduce myself, Scannell Properties, and our project further. And also a special thank you to the 3 towns planning boards, Douglas, Sutton, and Uxbridge, as well as Bob Manerick for his continued support of the project as well. So to start things off, many of you might not be familiar with Scannell Properties as a company, so just wanted to give you a brief background. We were founded in 1990. We are a privately held real estate development and investment company. We currently have offices across the United States as well as in Western Europe. We've seen significant growth that coincides with the growth of e-commerce over the last couple of years. We do about $2 billion annually of vertical development. We developed 15 million square feet in 2019. We saw that jump to 21 million square feet in 2020, and we expect significant growth again in 2021. I'm not going to touch on all of these points here, but I do just want to touch on the relationships piece of it. I think it's important to note that over 60% of our volume is a result of repeat business. So I think that just speaks to the quality of our work and the ability to create relationships that last with the clients that we do work with. So if you want to go to the next slide. Here's just a quick aerial map of the different developments that we've completed in the United States. So you can see our developments are spread across the country, and we have a strong focus in the Northeast as well. Last thing on the company as a whole, just a couple of relevant projects. These are both about an hour away from here, outside of Hartford, Connecticut. First one is an Amazon building that was completed in 2020. That was a little over 400,000 square feet. That was a $42 million project. And then the one next to it was South Windsor that turned out to be a Home Depot, also a little over 400,000 square feet. And that was a $52 million project. Now getting to another typo here, Blackstone Valley Logistics Center. This is a speculative warehouse facility, so we've designed it. Although we believe that it will be one tenant, we've designed it for flexibility for multiple tenants, as we do with all of our speculative warehouses. Total project costs for this project are estimated at around $70 million. It's 607,000 square foot cross-dock facility. And we have worked with all 3 of the towns, and I'm happy to say that we have fully entitled this site. So thank you again to the support of the towns as well as the state of Massachusetts. We are excited to break ground in early November of this year with a delivery date of Q4 2022. Just want to end with a couple pictures. Here's a rendering of what the finished product will look like. As you can see, the access comes from Lackey Dam Road with a quick right turn. You'll get on 146. It's a 40-foot clear height building with additional parking in the rear. And then we have a sound wall to mitigate some of those noise concerns with the neighboring parcels. Last photo here is just a site aerial to show some of the progress that's already taken place on the site. We started November 1st, finished all the clearing and grubbing and set up erosion control barriers. I can say I was out there yesterday, and there's been significant progress since this photo was taken a couple weeks ago too. So we're really happy with the progress that we've seen on the site already, and we're excited to deliver this building next year, and thank you guys for the support.
Next, we'll hear from Frank Betkunis from CRG, and his project is entirely within the could be entirely within the boundaries of the town of Douglas, at least as far as we know right now. And coming all the way up from Pennsylvania, we appreciate your time. You have the floor, sir.
Sure, thank you.
So obviously, we haven't named our project yet. We just call it the Gilboa Street Project, for lack of anything more creative than that. So we're open for suggestions. Blackstone Valley's already taken. Again, thank you. First of all, pronunciation of my last name, which is Lithuanian, is actually very accurate in this area. My family's from Brockton, the Lithuanian side. So when I hear people pronounce my name better than my wife, it's so great. Love that. Thank you. So my name is Frank Pitkunas. I serve as Senior Vice President and Partner for CRG. We are a national real estate development company. We were established in basically 1992, 1993, so we've been in operation for about 28 years. Our company exists as a three-division corporate structure, vertically integrated. I reside within the division called CRG. We're the developers. We handle land acquisition, sales, leasing, and overall project oversight. So I am the most visible of anybody within the ranks. I stay with projects from start to finish. It's been an absolute pleasure working with the town of Douglas and Bob and Eric in particular. My experience with you guys has been so seamless and so easy thus far. I'm looking forward to a really great relationship. So let's kind of keep that going. So under CRG, we're the development company. We also have a design company called LJC. Within that company, we employ about 250 architects, engineers, structural engineers, electrical engineers on staff to do our own work. We also own a company called Clayco. Clayco is our construction company. They generate about $4 billion worth of revenue every year, and they're actually currently ranked number 3 in Engineering News Record top contractors, largest contractors in the United States. Under the Clayco umbrella, we also own the second largest concrete company in the U.S. called Concrete Strategies, and I believe the biggest glass curtain wall company. So what this allows us to control our entire process. I tell people that we offer one throat to choke. We're accountable for every one of our actions. We control the entire process, and for that reason, we can usually get things done without many visible mistakes to the outside world. If you wouldn't mind advancing one more. So a couple of the company metrics here. Since inception, we've done about 190 million square feet of development. I think we have a typo here. That $11 billion worth of value since the beginning is actually $16 billion. But, of note, $1.6 billion of our development was done in 2020. So we were very, very busy last year, very busy this year, and we hope to be even more busy next year. We're known in this area as, let's say, a warehouse developer, but, as of note, the bottom 4 graphics, we do work in all of these sectors. We do a lot of multifamily work. We do manufacturing facilities under the industrial heading. We do a lot of institutional work. We're doing work out at Penn State, University of Indiana, TCU, Ohio State. We do a lot of development of all different forms, and the reason why we can do that is because we have that vertically integrated structure and a lot of talent in-house to build just about every structure you can imagine. If you wouldn't mind advancing one more. So in the warehouse category, obviously, we never know who's going to lease our buildings when we start. We do them on a speculative basis. But here's a good example of the type of tenants that have leased buildings from us in the past. They all reside pretty much in the Fortune 100 list of companies, and they're who you would expect. They're pretty much distributors and manufacturers of consumer non-durables, all finished products. So it's Nike shoes, it's Apple iPhones, it's Post cereal, and a lot of the brands that we all know and recognize in the area. So here's just a couple more examples of what we've done recently. We've got Lowe's, we've got Kohl's. I think Lowe's is in Chicago. Kohl's is down south, I believe, in South Carolina. Pepsi is in Pennsylvania. C&S Wholesale is in Seattle, and I believe Kimberly-Clark is in Seattle. So, all the buildings are large in nature, very clean. And what I like to tell people is, when I mention the word warehouse, sometimes it triggers an image of an ugly building with smokestacks and a lot of negative externalities. Not the case. I mean, much like Scanel, if you can see the look of our facades and what they look like very good office buildings that have to be, one story with a couple of trucks in the back. So if you wouldn't mind. So specific to Douglas, we've got a site under contract. It's on the east side of the town. It's right on Gilboa Street, proximate to the interchange of 146. And on that particular site, we'll be proposing a 1.1 million square foot building with all the horizontal amenities that are necessary for the type of tenants that I just mentioned to operate in a building like this. Have a little bit closer look. There it is. Not much to speak of other than what Scannell already said. A lot of, ample car park spaces, horizontal amenities, and basically all the bells and whistles that the most contemporary tenants need for a building of this nature. There's a example of our typical facade. Now, I caution people and say, look, it doesn't have to be red. Red is our trademark. Usually when that goes up on a screen, can you do that gray or blue? We can do earth tones, don't worry. But, the point here is to say that our buildings are good, they're clean, they're well-built, and they actually look nice. And I don't even think you're going to see this building from the roadway, to tell you the truth. So that's probably of no consequence. So, what I often tell people, and Bob and Eric knows this, that I am available 24/7 for anybody who ever wants to call me, township residents included. That's my contact information. You can certainly get it from Bob or any of the township officials, but thank you again for the ability or the opportunity to participate here.
Thank you, Frank. And we'd like to wrap up in a couple of minutes, but by way of farewell, a couple of quick notes. Lieutenant Governor, if you speak to the governor at all today, please extend our thanks to him as well, and his administration has performed very well, and he can be proud of that. Secondly, y'all should come around more often, because we cleaned up the building so much in anticipation of this event that we made huge progress on things like stuff in the hall, and we shampooed the rugs, and so the more you come, the better off we'll be. Exactly. Yeah, and last but not least, and of course it's going to escape me just when I need to say it, we promise that because of this, we probably won't complain quite as much about pilot. We might let that go for a couple of years. The $3 million more than makes up for a lot of the difference there. About a year, yeah. The chairman says we can give a year. So Godspeed on your travels here today. Everyone who came, thank you so much for your time and for your help in every aspect of the project. We look forward to working with you in the months to come. Thanks again.